Welcome to the Scott McGlynn Show podcast. Please welcome your host. It's Scott McGlynn.
Welcome back, listeners, to the Scott McGlynn Show. And today I have Eva Bilick. How are you doing today?
I'm well. Thank you so much for having me on.
Thanks for coming on, Han. I'm so excited to start ask you so many questions because you just do so many things. I'm just so interested to hear about your journey and your new projects. Sorry.
You.
But how is you're in LA right now, right?
I am in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy here these days, but it's sunny. So some days you can't ask for more than that.
I know. Oh, the UK is quite rare, but we actually had lovely sunny days, and I don't know what's happened, but it's completely changed. It's like this week and next week, the forecast is just like rain and clouds, and the sun is just gone.
Oh man. You got to make here
really?
for a little once the pandemic is over, I highly suggest a little vacation here.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I've had so many guests on. Say you got to come over. I was like, I know. I just haven't done it. Is a place I need to be. So, yeah. At least you got lovely weather though, and the beaches. I think that's one thing. People said to go to if I ever go over there, is the beach as well. So I got to check that out.
The beaches are great, but when I was in college, I spent a semester in London and I got to travel around the country a little bit. And I got to say, I mean, you can't beat London and you can't beat the UK. We talk a big game in America, especially in big cities, but I mean, the UK is incredible.
It's one of those things though, because you obviously, when you've been here for so long, you just want to go somewhere new, and then it's like that new place is incredible. But if you're from there, you're thinking, it's just another day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, let's swap lives for like a month or so.
Great. No problem. I'll tell my roommate. It'll be awesome. You'll play with her cat. It'll all work out.
Yes. I have 4 dogs, so you have to take care of those. So
oh my God, I'll be in heaven. I am a dog person to my core.
Oh, yeah. I love my cats too, mind. I love all animals. We love all. So for any of my listeners out there, you're an actress. So you've done a couple of things I've seen. So it's very interesting. We're going to touch base on that. But then also you're a fellow podcaster because you just released a new podcast.
Yes, I got very interested in audio dramas last year. I had never really heard of them before. And I just started listening to a whole bunch. And I was like, I want to do this. So I'd been writing and producing my own material a little bit over the last couple of years that I've been in Los Angeles.
Right.
And I thought it would be so fun to write a series essentially, but just have it be completely audio. I just think an audio experience isn't so interesting. You can take it with you in your car, which is such a cool way to consume entertainment. So I was really excited about it. And and so I wrote 6 episodes and collaborated a lot with people, and it just kind of came together. It was really, really hard and really totally worth it.
I know, because I did see on the Instagram page and on your pages and stuff like that, I've been seeing that you do collab with different people. And every episode, is there someone new on every episode?
Yes. So every episode of the podcast is pretty much the same. So there are 6 episodes for the entire season. And then their 7th episode is kind of an epilogue to kind of wrap it up.
Yeah.
And so now we're starting to think about season 2. And there's a cast of 7 people that kind of come in and out. So between the actors and everybody behind the scenes working on it, or behind the mic working on it, it was about 12 people in our team total. So grateful for everybody's talent and time.
Yeah, because for anyone who might have not have heard of it yet, but what is it about? Because I love it because Yeah, you explain it because then I'll tell you what I think of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I wrote an audio dramedy podcast called A Place Called Fairneck. And it's about a clever teenage journalist who comically recounts these pretty tragic events that lead to a beloved member of her community dying in a freak plague related accident the week before Passover. So we got mystery and humor, and there's a ton of time travel. And if anyone's seen the movie Sliding Doors with Gwyneth Paltrow, it's a little bit like Sliding Doors, but set in a modern Orthodox community in New Jersey. So it's a lot of fun. We get it. There are some serious bits, but there's a lot of humor in it, so it keeps you going.
Yeah, like what I love about it, it's just like when I listen, it's like cheers me up in a way, you know, like it just lifts my mood up if I'm ever feeling a bit like, you know. I think that's just the voice work, though. I think.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was so interesting to hear the voice work because, you know, you write these things and you hear it the way you hear it in your head. Like I'm sure, you know, as a creator, you're like, okay, here's how this thing is going to turn out. And it's always different, but different could mean better. And in this case, it was like the way that a lot of my fellow actors lifted their characters. I mean, it was so much better than I ever could have imagined. So that was just so fun to explore in the studio.
Yeah, and like how like was this like always something you wanted to do? Because when I was thinking about a podcast, everyone was like, "Oh no, don't do a podcast." I do because I think America was a lot on top of it than the UK was. They said, "Oh, go on YouTube, do it that way," and I was like, and then I was just thinking, obviously, I couldn't connect with like amazing people like yourself. Like if I did YouTube, because I can't fly around the world, you know, like to do an episode. So it's like,
yeah.
So is this like the only idea you had, or did you want to do something else with it? But you went, oh no, let's actually go to the podcast and do it this way.
Actually, I did have an extra idea. I definitely wanted to record the audio and have it be something that you could just listen to as it is now.
Right.
But I also wanted to add an extra layer. So before COVID-19 was something that we had ever heard of, I had this idea to make an animated version of the show as well. So you could kind of pair it. And the Colin Dahlgren, this incredibly talented artist who did our artwork. So if you take a look at A Place Called Fairneck on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts, you can see our main photo. He did that, and it's so whimsical and cute and lovely. And so I was like, Colin, let's just make animated versions of every episode. So if you want to watch it, you can watch it. But you can also just keep it as something to listen to. But once the pandemic hit, it was a little more complicated in terms of like financing. But that is something I think would be really cool for this, because it's about it's about a lot of things. Kind of the backdrop of what's happening in the story is that the plagues of Egypt are coming back to this Jewish town, and it's right around Passover. So there's like a lot of frogs, and everybody has lice, and there's like mention of a blood river in the first episode. Like it's kind of like a visual feast if it wants to be. And so I still think at some point that would be a really fun idea.
Yeah, I love the artwork. Like when you touched on that, by the way, because it's so cool, and it's lovely, like an arty kind of artwork. I love. But yeah, I had that actually one of my first covers. I think I've changed my covers. Like, I think I'm on my third one now. It's like, but at the start I had like a cartoon version, and I loved.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I loved him. It's like a little one of me, you know.
That's so cute. That's so cute. When you decide on like cover art or music or anything like that, are you like so particular, or do you kind of explore and sort of see how things work and like play with it as you go?
Yeah. So like when I was researching to do the podcast, I took about, I think it was like 6 weeks of just research on what because like people knew of what I was about. So I wanted to bring that into it. And then obviously something I loved and enjoyed and maybe like interesting to other people to listen to. And then yeah, so that's why every episode is like a guest and talking about their career and all that kind of stuff. And it's very interesting because people maybe wanted to start a podcast today. Like you never know, and people listening to this so thinking Eva's giving you the little tips and tricks here, you know.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like everybody. The interesting thing about podcasts is that so many people have them, so you can learn from so many people. But at the same time, there are no actual rules. It's not like TV, where if you write a TV pilot, it has to be structured in a very specific way, and you have to incorporate different kinds of beats. Like with podcasting, it's kind of whatever you want. So steal from people who you like and you admire, but like go crazy because no one's telling you not to.
Yeah, so I think one big person was Anna Faris's Unqualified podcast. She, that this is kind of like that's the kind of idea I had in my show, you know. And then my only little twist.
Oh, I see that influence. I see that influence a lot. That's really fun.
Yeah, and I love her show. She was like the first show I ever heard. Like way before I was thinking about doing mine. I'm thinking, oh, you know, it's really interesting. I'm thinking, oh, would it be really, really great to kind of, obviously she's got like the A-list people, like just like huge people like you never get right on the show. But you know, but I think mine's more diverse. I think I love having people on just from all different creativity in life. So that's
you really do. And also, I mean, I love Anna Faris, but I feel like you get a little more personal sometimes with people because you're really looking to connect, which is really nice.
Yeah. And then you know, but like I said, you really, but everyone was trying to push me down the YouTube route. Like when I was trying to plan it, and there was so many people. I had like a different manager at the time and an agent. And I was like, oh, you know, go down this route, go down. And I was like, oh no, I really have my heart set on it. I'm really glad, you know, I went down this route, you know, because it was like launched 2017 and it's like 2020, so it's like going out, it's going strong, so it's good.
I know. So has it officially hit 3-year mark, or is that coming up?
Yeah, I'm in my 3rd year, but not yet, not like the official 3-year yet.
You got to have like a big 3-year celebration.
I know, and the 100th episode, that's coming up really close. So like, I think I'm only like 3 or 2 away right now. So yeah, I just don't know what I'm gonna do.
Pressure's on for that 100th episode. You need to get like the pressure or something.
But so you're planning those series 2, or yeah?
Yes.
So like, is it going to be like similar concept, or are you going to just think?
I think so what I'm thinking now is, you know, it's interesting. Like I wrote a show about the plagues coming back to Earth, just in time for Passover. And then a plague hit Earth just before Passover. Oh, so I'm like, okay. I mean, I still think it was really like a funny story and there's a lot more humor and there's no mention of any kind of virus in mine. But I do want to I think the world has been through a lot and is still going through a lot. And I want to be mindful of the times and like keep the mystery angle, because I think it's always really fun. Like in episode 1, you know, within the first 5 minutes that someone is about to die, but it takes until the end of the last episode for us to find out who actually dies in this town. And so I think that mystery angle is really fun, but I want to make sure to lead with the whimsy and the humor, because I think that's a lot of what people want right now. It's certainly what I want in my podcasts. And so I'm going to try and be mindful of keeping this world intact and keeping the characters, but really letting that humor guide the story.
Yeah, I love listening to like humor podcasts. I think that's one reason why I'm really loved with your one. It's just so much fun. Like I love it. So I'm glad that you made it.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Yeah, no, it's it was a labor of love for sure. It took like 6 months to really let it all come together, but it was for sure worth it.
Yeah. And then obviously, you got series 2 already like planned, right? So like, Just get that out. And then is that what kind of goal you're going for? Just like every, like going seasons or series? I don't know how you say it, like, because we say both. So
Yeah, you guys say series, and I know that because of the Great British Baking Show, which is one of my favorite shows.
Oh,
Love it.
Yay.
And I know it says like series 1, series 2. We say season, but it's same concept. Yeah, it's so we're gonna I don't know exactly like logistically how we're gonna do it, because obviously folks aren't really gathering in the same room now. At least not the way they were. So we'll sort of figure out how logistically we can record everything. But I was very fortunate. I entered into a pitch competition as part of an annual podcast festival a couple weeks ago, and I won, which was so lovely. And I won a couple of pieces of equipment, which could really help us out, because if we do need to record remotely, then I could maybe like drop off this microphone at the different actors' houses around Los Angeles and just say, okay, like I'll meet you on Skype, and I'll just direct you from there. So we'll figure the logistics out.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm very excited. And obviously, I'm going to put all this information, listeners, into the description so you can check Eva's out on the podcast, everything about her. So just so everyone knows, just click away to go subscribe to her. So just so people know that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So let's talk about, because you act as well. So you're an actress. And what I love about your Instagram bio is that you said, what the TJ Maxx.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did a commercial I did what they call an industrial for TJ Maxx and Marshalls and like all the companies under that brand. And so I'm anyone who is, I think it had like a 3-year run, so I think it might still be going. So anyone who works for TJ Maxx or works for Marshalls has to sit through those like incredibly boring videos at the beginning of their job where they're like, here's how you say hello to a customer. And I'm the helpful sales lady. So, you're welcome for teaching you how to be a person.
Exactly. Yes. And did you know in the UK, it's literally exactly the same brand, but it's called TK Maxx. So I don't know why with the J and the K.
Oh my God. Actually, I did know that. And it confused the hell out of me when I went to the UK, because I was like, oh, we have a similar store, but why would you rip off the name like that? What does the K stand for?
I got no clue. I didn't even know. What did the J stand for? Do you know?
I don't know what the J stands for. This company needs to get its act together because it's very confusing.
It's literally exactly the same. Like logo, the store is exactly the same thing though. It makes no sense. It's like they probably opened in the US first, and then it's like they opened in the UK and they were like, we're something brand new you've never heard of us. They're like, well, maybe change your name to more than just be like off by one letter to fool us, but okay. I know. And then so like I've seen a couple of your work on YouTube. I think I've definitely seen some clips here and there.
Oh, thank you. You might have seen Weird in Bed, my web series.
Yes, that's the one. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the one I've seen.
I moved to Los Angeles after working in Boston and New York for a couple of years in the acting scene there. But when I moved here, a big difference between East Coast and West Coast in the US is that people, at least in my experience, people on the West Coast, especially in Los Angeles, are making their own material a lot more than my friends were in Massachusetts and in New York. So I moved here and I was like, oh, I have to learn how to write and produce. So that was really cool. And so I wrote a web series called Weird in Bed. Each episode is like a couple minutes long. I refused to make them longer. They're basically just like little sketches. Yeah. And it's just like me in a bed with a different actor every episode, and something weird happens. Like there's one where like the guy asks me if I want to get high, and then I turn around and he's doing heroin. So there's just little twists. It's like little bite-sized snackable laughs. So that was so fun to create. That was so fun. I think we shot 12 episodes and we kept 10. So that was pretty good.
What do you find it was quite hard? Obviously moving over and then like had to learn these kind of like different, like the writing, the producing, all that stuff quite quickly. Did you or did you struggle, or do you think, all right, I got this?
It all depends on your team. I'm sure you can relate to this.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not working with the right people, your stuff's just not coming together, especially at the beginning when it's all about learning. So, I mean, one of the first pieces of advice that I got at the beginning of my creating career was work with people who are much better and smarter than you. So I was like, great, got it. So I wrote this show. My friend Catherine Dudas, who's a very talented writer and director here in Los Angeles, offered to direct the series. So I was like, great, she knows about like storyboarding and camera angles and things I don't know anything about. So I made sure to bring her in. I found Sean George, who also served as the sound engineer for my podcast. So he's just a jack of all trades. And the three of us just made like a great team. It was like, it ran really smoothly. A few months later, I made a short film with a few people I didn't know very well. I met one at like a networking event, and we kind of just like decided to put something together, and that was not a good experience. And so the film is not good because the team didn't really come together, and I, she's a very lovely person, but I like picked up a lot of this slack, and it was just not great. So I mean, I'm sure you've had experience where like the work kind of reflects the team.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you've just got to gel together. You've got to be on the same vision. You've got to have like the same goal on what you want it to be like, and what you want it to finish on. You just got to be in the moment together. So like it could be like 10 heads, but thinking as one.
Totally. And I got so lucky with my podcast too. I worked with a writing coach named Kyle Andrews, who's very talented. And he ended up coming on. He was really interested in the story, and ended up coming on as a consulting producer. And he was in every single recording session. And so there were just like a lot of really smart people pitching a lot of ideas. And it's, that's the dream when that happened. So I was so lucky with this project also.
Yeah. And then like, how have you, I'm just going to put it out there because I loved it. I binged it on one day, I think, but have you seen Hollywood on Netflix?
I haven't watched it yet, but I need to. Yeah, I need to, in part because everybody says it's so good, and because my friend's prom date is one of the leads, so I got to see that.
Oh, who is it?
I think, shoot, I don't remember. I'm going to try and like look this up. A boy, a man. Okay. I don't know his name, but she was like, "Oh, I went to prom with that guy." And I was like, "Okay, well now I got to watch it."
I just because you're from like that's where you're living right now, and it obviously was based like I think it was like in the 60s or something, or maybe later than that, but and how Hollywood works, and obviously it's changed completely. But like I've spoken to so many actors on the show and actresses on the show. Like, is it like a day for you going to audition, like go just a whole day of it?
It depends on the day. A great day, my favorite day is when I have several auditions. I love auditioning. I think it is the best, especially when I get to go in. Not that anyone's having in-person auditions right now, but when I get to go in and audition for someone in the room, that is one of my favorite things. Cause it's just a little performance, like you just get to go perform. And usually, I mean, you hear stories once in a while of casting directors being rude, but usually people are really nice. And then they talk about you behind your back, like normal people. So you go in, they're really sweet. You do a couple of different takes. And it's just a little like bite-sized performance. That's like heaven for me. And then, acting at the end of the day is freelance work. So some days or some like weeks or months are slower than others. It kind of depends on like the time of year or like what is being cast at that moment. Everybody has a different type. And sometimes people just like aren't looking for your type, and that's okay. It'll come back around.
Yeah, I hear that. It's not as easy as people may think it is. one thing I
Yeah.
want to put,
Well, there's, and I'm sure you can probably speak forever about this, being a creator and an influencer yourself. Like, there's the creative side of your work where you get to like perform and do your art and work on your craft, and then there's the business side, which is knowing like what people think about when they look at you, and therefore what you'll be cast as, essentially. At least at the beginning of your career, that's really how it works.
yeah.
And getting to know like the people and setting up certain meetings that will be helpful, and learning about what it means to like have different behind the camera skills. So it's there's a lot of practical elements also to acting and to any kind of entertainment work. So that has been incredibly helpful for me to learn about that over the last couple of years, because it takes a while to like learn about different scenes and how they work, and the way it works in LA is different from New York. So it's taken me a bit to kind of understand the players here, but I feel like I'm getting better at that day by day. So that's been really helpful.
Oh, that's good. I didn't know that. I didn't know like kind of they thought differently, like depending what area you're in. But I guess if you moved to England, it'd be completely different again, right? You're thinking, okay, gotta change again.
Oh yeah, totally. It's interesting. Like I find that the it's often like the industry is kind of reflective of the culture of the city as a whole. So Los Angeles is a giant city, and it's super spread out. People spend all day in their cars. And so in my experience, it's been a little bit harder to like connect with folks in casting offices or producing offices. And it's kind of reflective of that culture. Whereas I started out acting in Boston, which is a much smaller city. And people take public transportation or they walk everywhere. And so I felt like it was a little bit easier to connect with people in those business offices. So it kind of depends on where you are and what the vibe of the city is. And like anything, if you're new, it just takes a little while to adjust.
Yeah. Like, was there anything you've gone for? Anything, you really wanted it? I'm not saying the bad thing, because like you said, it just things happen. They've got to pick only one person, right? But it was like maybe something we've seen, or has been out or was out, and you're thinking, oh, I really want that. And then you went for it, and it didn't work out. But ever come like that across? Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. All the time.
Not saying but they only got to pick one person, unfortunately, right? So
yeah.
and it happens.
So I love Shonda Rhimes. She created Grey's Anatomy and Scandal and How to Get Away with Murder. I mean, she owns Thursday night television. And so I got an audition for Grey's Anatomy, and that was like, I was like, this is it. My life is about to change. Everybody step aside. I am like going to go meet Shonda Rhimes. We're going to be best friends. Did not get the role. And I watched the episode on TV when it came out a couple months later. And it's the weirdest part is watching the person who did get the role, because it's not only like you didn't get it. It's like, oh, look how differently that person looks saying the same lines. Because you could have 100 people say the exact same line, and it's going to sound 100 different ways, because we all have our own different intonations, our own take on things, our own interpretation of language. So that's really interesting. A little bit heartbreaking, but interesting also.
What was the part? Was it just like for an episode?
It was just one episode. I would have played like a lawyer who was working on a case. One of the doctors got in trouble, and so he was like in and out of court that episode. So it was just for that. Yeah, but you live and learn. And I think Grey's Anatomy just got renewed for a couple more seasons. That show is going to live longer than me. So, I'll get on.
Well, do it again. You don't stop at one go, right? You're just going to keep going.
You just got to keep going. What about you? What has been something that you've been like, I got to get this, and it just kind of fell through or something?
Oh, so, because I model as well. So obviously put in them. I don't know why, but just getting signed is such a tricky thing, and it's quite a hard industry, because on the modeling side, when they say you're not we're not for you kind of thing, or you're not for us. I'm thinking, okay, what's wrong with me? And then kind of just like it knocks you back a bit because obviously they're judging on the look. I'm thinking, but after, you know, a good couple of those, I'm thinking, whatever. And then obviously I got signed now, but I'm thinking, jeez.
Yeah.
It happens though. And, yeah, and like, it's only one, like, I think, no, it wasn't one. I think maybe I got rejected maybe by like six. 6 or
Oh my
7. But
gosh.
it was just like, because obviously it's just in the UK and it's not many really here.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, oh, okay. So it's like, and then he's thinking, what's wrong with me? But then obviously, I think like you, when you got networking, and I was on like a TV ad, and then I connect with the right people, and I got put forward to this other agency, and then she signed me, and I was like, boom, done.
It just happens. That's the thing. It goes from like nothing's happening to everything's happening.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's random, but it's not. Like it's the work that you put into it. Like you worked so hard to get that meeting, to get that signature. And eventually it's a numbers game. It's like dating, you know, like you do it enough and like you meet the one. So it's it's all about the work.
Yeah, it is so true. I'm one of these people that was kind of like, I don't know what you're like, but I'm kind of like, I'm a bit impatient. Like if, when I want something, I need it, like I want it now. Like if I, you know, actors and musicians is definitely the same as me because like they got like films or TV or music coming out, but they've done it like a year ago or 2 years ago, and they're just waiting for the right moment to release it. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So
I did this film in the fall that's supposed to come out in April, and now that it's the pandemic hit, they're postponing it. So I think I'll have to wait another like year and a half for this film to finally come out. So I'm like, all right, well, just not going to set my alarm for that anymore. But it will come when it comes. Just going to move on. Some things are out of your control.
Exactly, yeah. And I'm just impatient that way because like I've done it. I'm excited people to see it. Like, come on, like, you know. And then like a handful of my friends may know about it. I don't really speak too much of if something's like pre-done. Like I don't really speak too publicly about it until it's out.
Yeah, I know, because it's weird if you talk up a big game and then it's just there's nothing to back it up for a long time. So you gotta like lay low.
And it was like 3 years later, it's like, where is it?
Yeah,
like, it's coming.
I know.
But but other than that, honey, yeah, it's good. You know, I think I'm in a much happier place now. I think I'm a lot older when I first got started out. So, you know, I'm just got a thick skin now. I just like, if it's a no, it's a no, whatever. I just go on to the next one. It's no issue. But yeah, but it's hard like breaking into any industry, especially a creative industry. But I just say never give up, right? That's what we can say.
It's true. If you love it, what else are you going to do? You know, you can go back to your old day job anytime and you'll be miserable. So like it's hard and it's a hustle. But if you love it, oh God, it's so worth it, you know, because like that's what life's about. It's such if you have the privilege to be able to pursue something that you love doing, like you've won. That's amazing.
Yeah. And I think, you know, like in 10 years, you know, if I didn't push for what I've got now, like over the last 6 years, like I just like another 10 years, I would have so many regrets. And that's one thing I didn't want. Because I know I would feel them. I'll just think, oh, I wish I did this, or why didn't I do that? And, you know, and podcasts, and I think we'll be fine because we can keep doing it forever. I think they're getting stronger. So I think it's getting more popular and on a worldwide basis now. So I think, and no one needs to see us really, do they? So I could be like 60 and I'm like, no kids, keep going. But yeah, it's like, you know, the modern thing won't last forever, but I'm kind of happy to tick that box when I'm like a lot older. I think I did that.
Yeah, and podcasting is so cool. I mean, I think like you are and have been so smart about how you've created your podcast, because it's such a relatable show, and like it's the kind of thing that people want to I feel like this is like the vibe that people want to take with them if they're like feeling nervous or anxious or just need to be distracted. They're like, oh, okay, great, let me listen to just like a nice voice. Let him like guide me through my day, like put me in a better mood. And like, that's the magic of podcasts. You can just take them with you wherever you're going and let them like uplift you. And that's what this show is. Yeah. And as much as like podcasts have become so popular, we're still really at the beginning of the medium. So I think we've got miles to go, and I think we're just going to see it explode even more. So I'm really excited about the future of podcasting, and you're like at the forefront. So I think it's such an exciting place to be.
I think, yeah. And like I said earlier, like the UK was kind of a late one to jump on to podcasts. I think they really weren't really into them, and America was so much into it. Like they were just loving it. And it was quite rare when I started out, like to find just a UK podcast. It wasn't really any here. But I think now it is. Like it's nearly 3 years down the line, and now I think it's a lot more active here.
Yeah, you saw it coming. You were like, nope, not going on YouTube. I know what I'm doing. I'm sorry.
I was like, I can't be getting dressed up every single hour be doing. I'm like, oh, no. You know, just
look like no.
But
come on.
But what I love about, like, you know, especially with your podcast, I was just when I'm in bed, you know, sometimes you just watch TV, but like instead I just listen to like your show and just like in my ears and just, you know, and it's very relaxing that way, right? You know, and
yeah, it's like reading, you know, it's just using your other senses or not necessarily other senses, but like it's using a different part of your brain to kind of consume a story. So I think it's really special, and also I feel like especially now I'm on my screens more than ever. And sometimes my eyes and my brain just need a break when I'm listening to something. I don't have to look at the screen. I can just put my phone off to the side and like, you know, clean my apartment or do whatever I need to do and just listen to the story.
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you 100%, honey. We're not, and just for any listeners, like we're not just saying that because we are podcasters, but like you are right. We run on like a laptop, on your phone, then on a tablet, then on a TV. You know, just watching so many things, and it is quite nice because people listen to music all the time. And I'm more like I listen to music, but like in the car, I'd rather listen to like a podcast instead of a music because I get bored of music, especially the radio, because they just replay the same thing over and over.
My God, I know. It's that same song that you hate that comes on every other minute. And you're like, why hasn't anyone written a new song? Yeah.
Same with you then. Like it is over here. Yeah, it's the same thing. And it's just like, so obviously when listen to a show, you know, and I'm in the car sometimes, you know, for an hour, you know, and it's a long time and it's just something different, something enjoyable. So I'm with you, honey, on like, you know, giving your eyes a rest, giving your brain a rest from like just watching TV and screen work and all that kind of stuff. Like I just pop them in and just relax.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny, you were saying like, we're not just saying this because we're podcasters. Like exactly, like we became podcasters because this is something that drew us in.
Yeah. It's just like, it's just like, people might think, oh my God, they're just saying that because they're podcasters. It's like, no.
Right. It's like, why do you think we started our podcast? Because we really enjoy the process of listening to them.
Yes. And for the entertainment, of course. Got to entertain.
Of course.
Yes. Thank you so much for coming on, honey. It was so lovely to speak to you.
Thank you so much for having me. And thank you for all of the work you put into your show. It's so lovely to listen to. I'm so glad that we met. This was really great.
I know. And you can meet people anywhere on the world now. That's the power of Skype or social media and that's. But yeah, it was so lovely. And like I said to my listeners, go and check out Eva's details. I put all your socials, your podcast link. It will be in the description. Go and check it out. And you will not be disappointed, honestly. It's such a lovely show. And you just make sure they message you, right? And just telling your thoughts and say what you love about it. Just don't forget to check you out.
Thank you so much. That is so nice.
Take care. Thanks, Eva.
Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
And you, darling. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Scott McGlynn Show podcast. Make sure you tweet us at Scott McGlynn and let us know what you learned or enjoyed from the show today. And make sure you subscribe to Apple Podcasts, Spotify and iHeart Radio.